These two Canadian coins may look simple, but don't be fooled. One hides an 80-year-old secret connected to Canada's wildest animal, and the other belongs to a rare era where hidden minting errors turned ordinary coins into unexpected treasures. The 1980 Beaver nickel and the 2011 Caribou quarter are shocking collectors with their mysterious varieties, strange metal transitions, and designs that tell stories most people never noticed. And the craziest part? These coins could be lying in your pocket right now, holding a value far greater than 5 or 25 cents. Welcome back to Numis Explorer. The story of the 1980 Canadian 5-cent coin begins far earlier than 1980, because to truly understand this coin, you must understand the powerful history behind the beaver design that millions of Canadians grew up with. The beaver is not just an animal for Canada. It is a national symbol that built the country's early economy, shaped trade, and became a sign of hard work and resilience. When you look at this small nickel coin from 1980, you're actually holding a miniature monument to Canadian identity, and that is something most collectors don't realize. The design of the beaver sitting on a rock comes from 1937, created by sculptor G.E. Kruger Gray, and it was chosen because it represented the story of fur trading that helped establish early Canada. Even though the coin looks simple at first glance, every line on the beaver's back and every curve of the rock carries history. And the suspense begins when you discover that not all years of this coin were minted in the same way, and some years ended up producing rare errors, dye varieties, and unexpected imperfections, meaning even a common-looking coin like the 1980 Canadian nickel could hide a secret worth far more than 5 cents. The year 1980 itself is interesting because it came at a time when Canada was dealing with economic transitions, shifts in metal prices, and changes in minting technology. What makes the 1980 Canadian 5-cent coin special is that it continued the long-running tradition of using pure nickel, unlike later years when the composition changed. In 1980, these coins were made from 100% nickel, a metal that was deeply tied to Canada's mining industry, especially in Sudbury, Ontario, which was famous worldwide for its nickel deposits. Many collectors value the 1980 coin specifically because it represents one of the last decades when pure nickel coins were common. But here comes another detail many people miss. The strike quality of 1980 nickels varies widely. Some coins came out with soft strikes, while others ended up with unusually sharp details, creating an unintentional divide between ordinary and premium specimens. This unpredictability has created a quiet hunt among collectors who search for beautifully struck versions that can sell for much more. If you flip the coin to its other side, you find the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, but the 1980 version uses the second effigy of the Queen designed by Arnold Machin. This portrait is known for its elegant and youthful look, and enthusiasts often say it is one of the most beautiful portraits ever used on Commonwealth coins. But the reason this matters for collectors is that dye polishing, aging, and repeated use caused small variations in the Queen's portrait that can be detected under magnification. Some 1980 coins show slightly thinner lettering, lighter hair details, or a faint doubling on parts of the design. Tiny imperfections that can dramatically increase value. These variations are not widely known by casual collectors, which means hidden gems are still out there, sitting in old jars, forgotten drawers, and family collections. And every time someone discovers an unusual variety, the coin market heats up again. Another fascinating thing about the 1980 Canadian nickel is how many of these coins were minted, more than 100 million. At first, this huge mintage makes you think the coin is common and unremarkable. But history has proven again and again that high mintage does not always mean low value, because what matters is survival quality and the presence of rare mint errors. And here's where the mystery deepens. Collectors have found 1980 nickels with misaligned dies, clipped planchets, off-center strikes, filled dies, and even rare doubling errors. These mistakes happened during the fast production runs of the era, and because quality control was not as strict as today, many flawed coins escaped into circulation. Some error versions have sold for tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on their condition. This is why collectors love this year, because it offers the thrill of unexpected treasure hunting. What most viewers don't realize is that the beaver design on this coin survived multiple redesign attempts. In the 1960s and 1970s, Canada considered changing the design of several denominations, and some experimental patterns were even created. There were debates among artists, historians, and government officials about whether the beaver design should remain or be replaced. But in the end, the beaver stayed because it had become a cultural icon, beloved by Canadians and recognized around the world. This means your 1980 nickel carries a legacy that almost changed forever, and owning one is like holding a piece of a design battle that most people never knew about. Had the decision gone differently, this coin might have looked completely different today. One of the most intriguing parts of the coin's history is how collectors treat it today. The 1980 Canadian nickel is still found in circulation occasionally, but high-grade versions, especially uncirculated or mint-state coins, are becoming harder to find every year. Thousands were lost, melted, damaged, or simply worn down through daily use. Some collectors store rolls of 1980 nickels, hoping that future demand will surge as more people become interested in nickel-era Canadian coins. The rising popularity of YouTube coin channels, short videos, and viral discoveries has brought new attention to once-ignored years like 1980. And as more people search for rare errors and high-grade specimens, the competition and excitement continues to grow. In the end, the 1980 Canadian 5-cent coin is much more than a small piece of metal. It is a symbol of Canada's heritage, an artistic creation with decades of history, a survivor of intense minting debates, and a treasure chest of possible errors and rare varieties. For many people, it looks ordinary, but those who study coins know that some of the most unexpected treasures come in the simplest forms. Maybe the coin in your hand is just a regular 5-cent piece, or maybe it has a hidden flaw, a rare strike, or a unique feature that could make it valuable. And this mystery, this possibility that an everyday coin might be worth far more than anyone expects, is what keeps collectors excited, keeps stories alive, and keeps the hunt going. So the next time you hold a 1980 Canadian nickel, remember, you might be holding history, art, and hidden value all at once. The next 2011 Canadian 25-cent coin, you see a caribou calm, proud, and perfectly balanced in the center of the design. But what you may not realize is that this iconic animal has been on the Canadian quarter for more than 80 years, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in Canada's history. The caribou is not just a random animal. It symbolizes endurance, strength, survival, and the deep connection Canada has with its northern wilderness. When this design was first introduced in 1937 by Emmanuel Hahn, it replaced earlier designs that were too traditional and didn't capture Canada's evolving national identity. His bold choice to place an animal rather than a royal emblem at the center was revolutionary for its time. The idea was to show Canada not as a colony, but as a land of natural beauty and power. By the time you get to the 2011 version of the coin, you're looking at a modern, refined striking of a design that has survived wars, economic crises, changes in monarch portraits, and even debates about whether the coin should be redesigned. Yet the caribou remains, unchanged, standing tall through the decades. The year 2011 itself holds special relevance because it sits in a period when Canada was shifting its coin production materials to reduce costs and modernize the minting process. By 2011, the Royal Canadian Mint was using a multiply plated steel composition instead of pure nickel, meaning this coin is part of a historic transition in metal technology. The Mint had invested heavily in advanced plating systems, giving the coin a unique layered structure that offered durability and shine while lowering production costs. Most people holding a 2011 quarter have no idea that the technology behind it was groundbreaking for its time. This period marked a transformation in Canadian coinage, and the 2011 quarter is one of the best examples of how Canada embraced innovation without losing its classic design. And here's the suspense. This shift in metal composition created unexpected errors, varieties, and striking differences that collectors today hunt for eagerly. Some 2011 quarters show weak strikes, plating bubbles, die cracks, and even partial rotations, making them worth far more than their face value. One of the most fascinating elements of the 2011 quarter is the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the reverse side. This version uses the Susanna Blunt portrait introduced in 2003, known for its modern, dignified, and simplified style. Unlike earlier portraits where the Queen wore a crown, the Blunt portrait shows her without one, representing a strong, contemporary monarch rather than a traditional, heavily stylized figure. This portrait became extremely popular among collectors because of its smooth lines and elegant minimalism. But for the 2011 series, something unexpected began happening. Dye were started affecting the clarity of the Queen's hair, nose, and facial outline in noticeable ways. Under magnification, you can sometimes find doubling on the letters, distortions around the Queen's jawline, or faint ghosting on the coin's surface. These imperfections are subtle, hidden, and often overlooked by the average person. But for coin collectors, they represent the chance to discover something rare and valuable. And because millions of these coins circulated quickly, finding a pristine or error-free example is becoming increasingly difficult. Another layer of history behind this coin comes from the caribou itself. The caribou has been central to indigenous cultures for thousands of years and was a crucial resource during Canada's early fur trade era. The decision to feature the caribou on the quarter reflects deep respect for both the land and the people who lived in harmony with it. Many Canadians today think the caribou image is merely decorative, but it is symbolic of survival in some of the harshest climates on Earth. Even more interesting is that caribou populations have fluctuated dangerously in recent decades due to environmental shifts and industrial development, making the coin's design even more meaningful. When people hold a 2011 quarter, they unknowingly carry a symbol of a species that has faced decline, recovery, struggle, and renewed protection efforts. This adds emotional weight and depth to what many see as a simple piece of metal. The coin becomes a reminder of nature's fragility and Canada's responsibility toward its wildlife. Collectors love the 2011 quarter because it exists in a time when coin errors became more frequent due to increased production volumes and mechanical adjustments made to accommodate the multiply plating system. Some 2011 quarters were struck slightly off-center, creating dramatic misalignments where part of the rim disappears. Others show die breaks, raised bumps or lines caused by cracks in the coin dies, that can turn a common coin into a collectible piece. One of the most exciting varieties collectors search for is the rotated die error, where the front and back of the coin do not align correctly when flipped. Even a slight rotation can increase the value significantly. Reports have surfaced of rotation angles as high as 30 to 60 degrees in some 2011 coins, making them extremely desirable among error hunters. Nobody knows exactly how many of these exist, which keeps the mystery alive and the search exciting. What surprises many people is how quickly the 2011 quarter has become harder to find in good condition. When the Canadian Mint introduced new commemorative quarters in later years, older coins like the 2011 version were pushed into heavier circulation, causing scratches, wear, and loss of detail. Uncirculated or mint-state 2011 quarters are becoming valued by collectors because they represent early examples of the multiply steel era before plating improvements were fully refined. Some people have even started hoarding rolls of 2011 quarters, predicting that as the years pass, high-grade examples will gain significant value. And with the recent increase in online coin auctions, it's not unusual to see rare errors from this year selling for surprising amounts. The coin that most Canadians ignore in their change could be sitting on someone's table, holding far more worth than expected. In the end, the 2011 Canadian 25-cent coin is more than a piece of everyday currency. It is the result of decades of tradition, design evolution, technological innovation, symbolic meaning, and unexpected mysteries. The iconic caribou, the modern queen's portrait, the experimental metal composition, and the hidden errors all combine to create a coin filled with history, stories, and collector excitement. Every time someone picks up a 2011 quarter, they are unknowingly touching a piece of Canadian identity and a chapter of national transformation. Some of these coins are ordinary, but a rare few hide valuable secrets waiting to be discovered. And that is what keeps collectors searching, learning, and wondering. Because in the world of coins, even the most common-looking piece in your hand might be hiding something extraordinary.